It's time to come clean. I'm a fraud. Maybe. I say I'm a writer, that I would do anything to become a professional writer, like start a YouTube channel to build a platform, start a newsletter to find my writing audience and deepen said platform, get 2 literature degrees, read every craft book I can find, copy down page after page of Woolf, Nabokov, Marquez, all while my nice notebooks sit empty, waiting for the day I'm ready to start a project they're worthy of. They've been waiting for years. I would do anything to become a writer, except write, apparently, and I don't know why. I mean, sure, I can write a video script, I can write a blog post or a newsletter, and that's something, but my real serious work, my real art that I want to make is inaccessible. I want to write, I sit down and I try, but nothing comes. I have ideas. I have lists of story, essay, novel, memoir ideas just languishing in my mind, but I can't tell, is it writer's block that prevents me from bringing them into existence? Good old-fashioned depression? Or a far more terrifying possibility that I'm not really a writer. I'm sharing this with you because it's an unspoken aspect of the creative life, and one that tends to carry a lot of shame. The conflict between dreaming and doing. The tension, the frustration, the stress that arises when you know what you want, you know what you love, you know what you're good at, but for reasons you don't understand and can't even really articulate, find it impossible. A lot of us writers and creative people know from a very young age that writing is our dream, our calling. Personally, one of my favorite memories is when I was in second grade during the last day of school festivities. My teacher crowned me most likely to become a writer. Today, I have no earthly idea what I could have been writing at age 7 that was so praiseworthy, but I do know that Baby Joe felt like hot shit. And more importantly, that was the first time I consciously and intensely felt like, yes, that is what I want. That is me. And since then, it has been the one thing I've always wanted most. Not only to write, not just the act of writing, but to achieve some level of prominence and recognition for it. Being seen writing, and hopefully beloved for doing so. But to achieve that dream, I need to write. And I'm not. I could be writing. Many of my ideas excite me greatly, and there are a special few I feel are stories only I could write. I'm a big fan of Elizabeth Gilbert's idea that ideas are somehow sort of living things that choose the writer or the artist who is most capable of bringing them to life. I believe I have these ideas for a reason, and that they deserve to exist. That's why I don't think the problem is simply writer's block. I'm not lacking in inspiration. I do know what I want to say. The poet Louise Gluck once said the following about writer's block to a younger poet, Claire Hong. I think this silkworm notion of diligence and productivity has done many writers real harm. They discover a style of speech or a subject and then just busily produce replicas. The periods of blankness and silence are desolating, but tell yourself the well is filling up. It is. At the end of a bad period or a silence, something will have shifted, your work changed. I believe this passionately. I think everything good in my own work I owe to endurance. She's right, of course. The periods of blankness and silence are desolating. And I do think it's true that the well of inspiration and experience is filling up. But I wish Gluck could answer, when does the blank period end? The silence? When will something shift, and how? Eventually, a writer must stand before her well and draw out the water. I feel I've somehow found myself without the right equipment. I'm looking down at the pool. I see there's something there, but I just can't reach it. The next possibility to consider is the depression. Truthfully, for me, it is ever present, but for the past year and a half, it's been relatively mild. Well, mild as in 90% of my days are fine, 10% are not, and 0% are truly happy. So maybe my ratios are not, in fact, conducive to literary production. This is an improvement from the years where my ratios were 10, 90, 0, aka crisis mode. Forget the well, there was a drought. State of emergency. If the problem really is as simple as subpar mental health, then I suppose there is little to be done but to improve the mental health. With the help of my new therapist, I am working on it. But at this point, we're still shopping for the tools that will bring the water out of the well. We have not yet made a purchase. I wish I was one of those writers who could write through their pain. Plath, Poe, Hemingway, Woolf. For examples, perhaps, given the cause of their deaths, with the exception of Poe, but the fact remains, they wrote. When they weren't incapacitated, they wrote. Writing didn't exorcise their demons, obviously, but that's not my goal anyway, and realistically, I'm not as troubled as them. Maybe that's the problem. Here's the truth of the matter. I was writing consistently in 2019 and for the first 11 weeks of 2020. 3 of my essays had been published in literary magazines, 1 in print, 4 articles appeared in online publications, and I had several other essays in various stages of development, from the rough draft to nearly submittable. Good things were in the works. I was finding my flow. And then on March 20th of 2020 at approximately 1 p.m., the government built a dam and the flow ceased. Just like that. I hope you'll forgive me for being vague. The exact reasons that the shutdown was such a watershed moment for me, aside from the general fear and chaos we all experienced, number among the many things I can't bring myself to write about. The essays I'd been writing, I can't bear to look at them. The same goes for what was already published. They look to me now like letters from a long-dead ancestor. The person who wrote these created me, but I feel no relation to her. So I must ask myself the impossible question. If I'm not writing, does that mean I'm not really a writer, like I thought I was? Is my dream just that? A dream, a fantasy? Am I in love only with the idea of writing and not the work of it? The question brings to mind a phrase we hear a lot these days, whether that's in TikTok videos or Reddit posts or New York Times think pieces bemoaning the woes of modern relationships. If he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to carry his weight in keeping the house clean, he would. If he wanted to discuss the potential for marriage and children and happily ever after, he would. And although this line of thinking is a gross oversimplification of both love and life, and not to mention that communication is a two-way street that either sex can walk down, it gnaws at me. Because there is a crumb of truth. If I wanted, well and truly and desperately wanted, to write a memoir or an essay or a novel right now, right this very minute, I would. But I don't. Well, yes, I do, but not like that. Not quite. The trouble is what we mean by want. I want to have written. I want to be in a mental and physical space that fosters creativity instead of hinders it. But I'm just not there right now. And I do want to do the work. I do love the work. I know I do. But it's work that can't be forced. You know, every healthy birth requires a gestation period. You can't jump straight from an egg to a baby, nor from an idea to an essay. Surely you wouldn't say that a pregnant woman is not a mother simply because the child has not yet been born. So whether it's writer's block, depression, a lack of inspiration, or some foul mixture of the three, the fact is that my writing and the pieces I will one day be known for are just not ready to come into this world. They will be someday. but I have to accept that it's not today. Like a mother must trust that her child is developing as he should be, like a gardener trusts her seeds are planting roots, I have to have faith that I'm gaining the perspective and making the connections that my work needs to be beautiful. Art is a living thing, and I love my art enough to let it grow. I hope my writing is not a well, but a geyser. I hope this fallow period is really white hot rock boiling the water until it erupts through the crust, scalding and unstoppable, a phenomenon. Maybe, just maybe, all of this needed to happen in order to get me where I want to be. Cosmically predetermined destiny. If I believed in God, and frankly, I'm not so sure I don't, I might say that he works in mysterious ways. And if I'm honest with myself, if my early 2020 well had not been drained, none of this that I've built since then would exist. And neither would my best ideas, nor the strength it takes to trust in the unseen. I would do anything to be a writer, including not write. Thank you so very much for listening and working through this along with me. This is the first of a few videos I have planned experimenting with a more narrative style as opposed to educational. If my goal on this channel is, as I wrote in the description, to help sensitive souls rebuild a creative life, then I think it's necessary to share more of the reality of that process. And for me right now, reality is this. This video in particular started as a Substack essay, which I will link down in the description. However, the original is not too different from this version. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments, any feedback, and also if you've ever experienced something similar and have thoughts, advice, opinions, ideas, please share them. I would love to hear them. If this is your first time here on Thought Couture, thank you very much for sticking around until the end, especially on an experimental style video. My name is Jo, I'm maybe a writer, and I would love for you to keep sticking around if this video spoke to you. There will be more like it in the future, alongside the usual thoughtful living advice and literary/cultural commentary. Well, that is it for me today. Thank you once again for spending your time with me. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.